Scotty's rings are just the same as Michael Jordan's? Why not?
Because he won the best player on the team.
Yeah, but he was the most impactful player on the team.
I get it.
What do you mean he wasn't?
Listen, I get it.
If you unplug Scottie Pippen off that team,
sure,
Jordan's 0 for 6.
I think they're trying to launch another podcast, and what a better way to do it than to keep bringing MJ name up. And you got to bring MJ or Kwame name up. You know, we hot out here, but especially MJ. MJ hadn't played basketball in umpteen years, but everybody and their mama brings up MJ every single day. MJ name is brought up. So
Rich Paul sparked major controversy by claiming that if you take Scottie Pippen away from the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan finishes his career with 0 championships instead of 6. That statement immediately caught Kwame Brown's attention, and he didn't hold back. He fired back at Rich Paul, criticized Gilbert Arenas, and argued that the entire narrative was nothing more than an effort to elevate LeBron James' legacy. According to Kwame, this isn't an honest basketball discussion. It's a coordinated push to reshape how fans remember history. Now let me ask you this in the comments. Do you believe there's such a thing as a sidekick championship, or is Kwame right that every title counts the same regardless of who a player won it alongside? That's the question at the heart of this debate. And to understand why Kwame reacted so strongly, we first have to look at the statement that started all the controversy.
Right. They're just not, right? Scottie Pippen rings, those 6, they're not the same as Michael Jordan's. Right. They're not the same as LeBron James.
But they're pretty good.
But they're good. They're good. If there's some sidekick rings,
I think Scotty's rings are just the same as Michael Jordan's. Why not?
Because he won the best player on the team.
Yeah, but he was the most impactful player on the team.
I get it.
On his podcast, Rich Paul made the argument that if Scottie Pippen had never been on those Chicago Bulls teams, Michael Jordan would have finished with 0 championships instead of 6. From there, the discussion shifted toward the idea that Pippen's 6 titles somehow don't carry the same weight as Jordan's because of the different roles they played. That was the moment Kwame Brown completely pushed back. In his view, once you begin grading championships based on whose legacy shines brighter, you're no longer having an objective basketball discussion. Instead, the conversation turns into rewriting history and creating different standards for different players.
What do you mean he wasn't?
I get it.
If you unplug Scottie Pippen off that team,
sure,
Jordan's 0 for 6.
Sure,
could be.
Who knows? But if
you
replace Scottie Pippen with another All-Star. No one does it without another All-Star.
Replace him with
another All-Star. He's going to win more than one.
You can replace him with another All-Star, but just because it's an All-Star don't mean it's Scottie Pippen.
Kwame Brown's first argument went straight to the heart of the debate. His position was simple. Scottie Pippen's championships are every bit as legitimate as Michael Jordan's. They were won in the same seasons, under the same banner, as part of the same championship teams. There isn't a special version of a title where one player's ring carries more value than another teammate's. The organization didn't hand Jordan a premium championship ring while giving Pippen a lesser one. They earned those titles together, and every member of that team shares in that achievement. That's how championship basketball works. So when people suggest Pippen's rings somehow count for less because he wasn't the primary star, Kwame immediately challenges that logic. If that standard applies to the Bulls, then should LeBron James championships be viewed differently from those won by teammates like Mario Chalmers? Of course not. They all received the same championship, won in the same season, representing the same team. According to Kwame, a title is a title, regardless of where a player falls in the pecking order.
Scottie Pippen rings are not the same as Michael Jordan. So you saying the Scottie Pippen ring is more tonight or something? What the fuck is you talking about? Scottie Pippen ring is the exact same. It's the exact same year. It's the exact same everything. So is LeBron James rings different than Mario Chalmers rings? No. It's the same damn ring. Like, they just get up here and just say stupid shit.
Kwame Brown also made what he believes is the bigger point behind the entire debate. In his view, the people most eager to diminish someone else's championship are often those who never experienced winning one themselves. He argued that trying to downgrade another player's title comes across as frustration rather than fair analysis. Instead of celebrating what a team accomplished, the conversation becomes an attempt to find reasons why those championships supposedly matter less. To explain his point, Kwame used himself as an example. He said it would make no sense for him to criticize players like Matt Barnes or Nick Young by claiming their championships were somehow less valuable because they weren't the franchise stars. A championship doesn't suddenly become inferior because one player had a smaller role than another. Once a team wins the title, every player who contributed earns that accomplishment. From Kwame's perspective, the idea of a sidekick ring isn't a real basketball concept at all. He sees it as an artificial label created to minimize other players' achievements rather than recognize what it actually takes to win a championship as a team.
Are going to be willing to take a back seat knowing
100% of every All-Star who ever lived.
that's not true. That's
If
not
you're
true.
playing with Jordan, you got no choice.
No, that's not true because, again, this is where you got to really dive into the type of player. You're talking about just All-Star, okay? Remove that, All-Star. But you're talking about a guy that's 6'9", that plays both sides of the ball, that is 6'7", whatever. He got a 7'3" wingspan, right? He can initiate the offense. The best, you had 3 guys on that team, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, that were on the all defensive team. 3.
Ron Harper should have been on it too.
Ron Harper, and that was after Harp.
But this is where Kwame Brown believes the real strategy is exposed, and it's the point where his entire argument starts to come together. In his view, the discussions coming from Rich Paul and Gilbert Arenas aren't purely about basketball analysis. They're part of a larger narrative being shaped and repeated. And that narrative, according to Kwame, always follows the same direction. It works by lowering Michael Jordan's standing in order to raise LeBron James' legacy. He breaks down how it plays out. In order to strengthen the case for LeBron, Scottie Pippen suddenly gets elevated into a level of importance that suggests Jordan couldn't have won without him. Pippen's role is amplified far beyond traditional context, with arguments portraying him as the central force behind those Bulls championships. From Kwame's perspective, this isn't balanced analysis. It's selective framing. Pippen is being built up specifically so he can later be used as a way to weaken Jordan's achievements.
Nick Young ring is a sidekick ring. No, that's just for jealous niggas that didn't get no ring that'll find any reason to disqualify other people that have one. So this is another way of them trying to. First, Scottie Pippen is not as good as he is, because if someone says Scottie Pippen is just as good as LeBron, he may not be as athletic, but he got a bigger bag than LeBron, they will take apart Scottie Pippen. They'll say Scottie Pippen sucks, this and that. But
this is where Kwame really exposes what he believes is happening behind the scenes, and this is the part that makes his entire argument lock in. In his view, Rich Paul and Gilbert Arenas aren't just casually debating basketball. They are actively shaping a narrative. And according to Kwame, that narrative always moves in one direction. It consistently works to minimize Michael Jordan in order to strengthen LeBron James' position in the GOAT conversation. He points out the pattern clearly. To elevate LeBron, the argument suddenly shifts into saying Scottie Pippen was so valuable that Jordan wouldn't have won anything without him. So Pippen gets elevated to an almost co-leader status on those Bulls teams. His impact is amplified beyond what traditional analysis would suggest. But in Kwame's eyes, that adjustment isn't neutral, it's strategic. Pippen is being built up in order to later be used as evidence against Jordan's legacy. Then Kwame highlights what he sees as the contradiction at the center of it all, and this is where his argument really hits. The same people making these claims are often the ones who say the 90s era wasn't strong. Brandon Jennings has made similar comments on the same platform, calling the 90s a weak era. So Kwame asks a simple question: which version is it? Either the 90s had great competition, meaning Jordan dominated elite talent, or the era was weak, which makes it inconsistent to suddenly elevate Scottie Pippen into a superstar who supposedly carried everything. You can't have it both ways. You can't dismiss the entire era as weak while simultaneously using a player from that same era as proof that Jordan depended on help. Kwame argues that this logic only gets applied selectively depending on the direction of the argument. Pippen is praised when it helps tear Jordan down, but then minimized again when the conversation shifts elsewhere. He also connects this same double standard to how LeBron's teammates are discussed. Whenever LeBron plays with strong co-stars, the narrative often shifts toward downplaying their value. Names like Kyrie Irving, Ray Allen, Anthony Davis, and Kevin Love are frequently reframed as less impactful than their reputations suggest. Even players who were all-stars or elite contributors are sometimes reduced to role-player status in hindsight, all to make LeBron appear more isolated in his success. But when the same logic is reversed and applied to Jordan, the standard changes completely. Suddenly, Pippen becomes so dominant that Jordan is portrayed as someone who needed him entirely to win. The criteria flips depending on which player is being defended. For LeBron, teammates are minimized. For Jordan, teammates are magnified into essential pillars of every championship. Kwame's point is that this inconsistency reveals the real bias in the debate. It was never just about objective evaluation. It's about steering the conversation toward a pre-existing conclusion about LeBron being the GOAT. And in his view, once you accept that pattern, the arguments stop being about basketball and start being about framing. From there, Kwame brings it back to a simple truth. No superstar wins alone. Every legend needed help. Magic had Kareem. Bird had McHale and Parrish. LeBron had Wade, Kyrie, Ray Allen, and Anthony Davis. And Jordan had Scottie Pippen. That's just how championships work in the NBA. But Kwame adds that the inconsistency is obvious when you look closely. Nobody seriously claims Magic's rings don't count because of Kareem. Nobody dismisses Bird's legacy because of his Hall of Fame teammates. That logic only appears in full force when the conversation shifts to Michael Jordan, largely because his 6-0 finals record is the one thing LeBron supporters can't directly match. Kwame also makes sure to separate criticism from disrespect. He's not attacking Scottie Pippen at all. In fact, he acknowledges Pippen as a highly skilled, all-around player who contributed significantly on both ends of the floor. Pippen even led competitive teams without Jordan and had a complete skill set that is often underrated. Defensively, he consistently took on the toughest assignments, guarding the opposing team's best scorer night after night, which Kwame describes as exhausting, elite-level responsibility that often gets overlooked in modern debates. So rather than diminishing Pippen, Kwame is actually defending his real impact while rejecting how that impact is being used in the argument. In his view, Pippen deserves respect, but he should not be weaponized as a tool to rewrite Jordan's legacy. That's the distinction he keeps coming back to. Pippen mattered greatly to those Bulls teams, but that doesn't change the fact that championships are a shared accomplishment, not a hierarchy of rings.